Där är jag väldigt aktiv.
So we want to support female leaders shaping the future decision-making of important topics and causes, and by doing so, we can be able to shape the future world. For us, from the Remarkable Women's Club, we see our collaboration with Save the Children and Child Rights and Business as a perfect match. They are trailblazer and tackling the root causes of child labor rather than just symptoms. So we will together celebrate their 10th anniversary of their CSR Center in China and 100 years anniversary as an organization with Remarkable Women's Club that we are planning in November, our first gala, where we're gonna invite all female leaders from Scandinavia to support female leaders to make real change. Women are known for being pragmatic, looking from the big picture and getting things done, and we want to put that in overdrive. So welcome to today's event. I hope you get inspired and inspires others. And before starting, I would like to welcome our new CEO, Anna Gustafsson-Brill. Happy to have her part of our Remarkable Women's Club. Guest of honor, I'm delighted to present today's speaker, Annika Shelley, Head of Communications at Child Rights and Business, Save the Children Sweden, Stewardship Initiative Global Standard, a jury member of Sweden National Design Competition, and has written for Folk magazine.
And I want to go about, no. We actually want you to go in and look at your supply chain and figure out what's going on in there so that you can make changes. And these tend to go hand in hand with innovation, with forwarding business practices and risk mitigation. And we have actually part of our history here, because 10 years ago there was a Swedish trade mission that went over to China. And part of that was attended by Sweden's second CSR ambassador, Elisabeth Dahlin, and our other guest of honor today, the former Minister of Trade. And it became very, very clear that we need to have some kind of CSR center, which Save the Children ended up founding and being run by. And it's run by, it was founded by women. And again, the whole department is run by women. If you look at the whole nonprofit sector, again, lots of women. A village that suffers from malaria outbreaks consistently because there's a massive swamp that is just feeding these mosquitoes. Down the road, you've got a factory that's not handling their water stewardship or their water issues properly. They're just flooding it. And we know in a number of countries that you have to pay for water. So this is a cost for them. And the idea is, instead of us just providing the immediate care to help these kids and help their families to take care of the initial malaria problem, because that's absolutely needed, and I need to stress that. How about we go to that factory and say, you know what? We've done an analysis and we figured out if you handle your water properly, you're going to be able to save this. And on top of that, you're going to be able to drain the swamp. And I realize that sounds very Trump, which is very unfortunate. But the swamp will be drained. Yeah, you go, okay. So the swamp will be drained, and then all of a sudden, you've removed the mosquito issue, you remove the malaria issue, which means that you've managed to create the win-win. But why just stop at one factory? One factory is going to be 10 factories or 100, and they're working for a number of different companies. And if you look at the top of the food chain, you actually need to have that dialogue. So not just stopping there. And this is actually what my company does. What is it, 60% something of all Swedish exports are heavy industry. Are we not going to address these companies? But some of them aren't perfect. Some of them are far from perfect. But we need to have that dialogue. And this is another thing that really attracted me to my particular department, is that there's this sort of the Chatham House rules, that we meet each other in equal grounds and figure out, okay, how can we move on together? But the company needs to put in their input and put in the work, and then we'll put in the work, and then once we kind of get that moving, then we can start talking about each other, because we are in the trust business, and that's part of what I've been working with my department. Another thing that it's a little bit like swearing in the church, but I work for a child rights organization, But when I talked to a professor at the Stockholm School of Economics about reputation and risk, and they were asked, what issues within sustainability are the most interesting for you? Environment was high up. Children, not so much. In fact, it was dead last. And that's not really a winning concept if you're trying to win hearts and minds for a company. I represent children, so how are we going to talk about this? So I feel we need to change the dialogue, and we can't talk like nonprofits. We've got to show somehow with our language and with our imagery that we understand companies. Because right now, we are saying company stakeholders. And the idea is maybe if we could jack in the schools with fresh minds, bring in the corporations and everybody working together and learning from real world issues, rather than theory, which we know gets you only so far. And here's my baby, my absolute favorite thing on earth. When you talk about sustainability, you very often get a block for a lot of people. It's sort of, when are we 100% sustainable? Well, we need to start thinking about sustainability like a process, not a project. If you talk about innovation, you can invite everybody to the table. There isn't a company alive that will say, we're done innovating, we're good. Whereas companies very often will say, when are we done with sustainability? So we need to think, okay, innovation, how do we work with that? Let's think challenge-driven innovation. And I'm going to repeat this later, but if you want to make $1 billion, solve a problem for 1 billion children. Some examples of this. There was a major issue in Kenya, for example, if you do not have a birth certificate, if you don't have a registered birth, then you can't go to school, you can't get health care, et cetera, et cetera. So they were able to register births through their mobile phone, which means that all these other kids were able to get the health care and all this kind of stuff. Another aspect, and this was sort of the marriage between the nonprofit and the corporate world. Another one was there was a pharmaceutical company, GSK in the UK, that produces mouthwash. In this mouthwash, there's a substance called chlorhexidine. And chlorhexidine, they realized, number one, it's absolutely tested, super safe, it's an antibacterial. So you've got that in this corner. In this corner, the most dangerous year of your life is the day that you're born. And what was happening is that a lot of newborns were having umbilical cord infections and nothing to solve it. So what this company decided to do was package, through the advice of us, package the chlorhexidine in single-use packages, sell it to us at cost, and now these kids are able to survive beyond their first day because they're able to work towards disinfecting umbilical cords. And this is what we want to get at. This is beyond exciting, and it feels like this is the route forward. This is sustainability for the 21st. Thank you for the wine and cheese party I went to so that I could meet Yasmin, and we started talking about when power meets purpose and luxury. Because who doesn't love luxury? But you were telling me that you didn't want a Remarkable Women's Club to just be handbags and hairdos. We actually want to do something. We're women. We're pragmatic. We want to do something, not just inspirational. And this was actually the plan for today, was to have an inspirational talk. But then you guys sat down and thought, you know what, we don't just want to have it, like, we're inspired, we've got inspiration coming out of our ears. We actually want to go and do something, which is why we're presenting like this tonight. So, in November, we're going to be having a fundraising gala for child rights in business. And the idea here is, this is one success story that we have with Starbucks. How did we figure out supply chain? How were we able to help families and children? We have done, and then we're looking at Solve with CRB Shark Tank. And this is back to this, the Innovation Accelerator, and externalizing it and inviting companies to apply for a place on our Shark Tank, where they're going to be able to co-create with us real solutions that have to do with their business, so that they can get return on their investment, that they know if they put in $1 million or 10 or whatever in this program, that they're actually going to be able to talk about it. They're going to be able to engage their people in how to create these solutions. So come talk to us.
Thank you. you everyone for joining us today. I hope it was very good. Yes. All right. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.